Have you ever said, how hard could it be to make a shirt?
Have you ever cured a shirt in your home oven?
Have you ever thought what other opportunities are available in the screen printing industry?
And have you ever heard a grown man squeal over free ink?
If so, then this is the podcast for you.
Welcome to Last Call for Plastisol.
Cheers. Welcome, guys, to Last Call for Plastisol.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
This is our first episode together without a guest.
Without a guest, yeah. I think we had an episode and we probably said that it was with a guest.
Yes.
And that was true. Yeah, that was our first episode with a guest, but this is not the episode with a guest. This is our first official kind of intro podcast, so welcome to the show.
Welcome. We're really excited to have you here.
Absolutely. We're calling it Last Call for Plastisol.
Because we're screen printers.
Because we're screen printers and we use Plastisol ink, but we also are drinking beers. And what do you do at every night? Hopefully not every night, but it depends on how long you've been in business. But what do you do when you get home from work and you just want to unwind for the day? You probably sometimes maybe have a beer, or maybe you find yourself on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
Having a beer at a brewery, and what do you eventually end up talking about?
Screen printing.
What happened today in the screen printing?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Unfortunately, but fortunately.
Also, the whole premise of the group is to have this brewer's mentality of, like, when you go into a brewery, you see other breweries there. There is collaboration. There's beers on tap from other places, and there's also this idea of sharing of knowledge in the brewing, because everybody's brewing beer. Everybody's printing t-shirts in our industry, so why not enjoy a beer over that and talk about the industry and hopefully help each other out along the way.
Yeah, commiserate a little bit. So I'm Christy Rossi from Snatch and Run Screen Printing in TK, South Carolina, which is just right over the border of Charlotte in South Carolina. So I actually tell everyone I'm a Charlotte screen printer, but I'm a poser.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. No, because you're literally, like, we're talking waterways right now.
Yeah.
Like literally, if you had a boat from Rock Hill or Charlotte, you could get to your shop faster.
Yeah, pretty much all of my customers are Charlotte customers. So I've been in business 8 years. I started out in the CrossFit niche of business, and a lot of my customers are still gym clients today. I also serve a lot of small businesses, women-owned small businesses, because I'm a female-owned and operated shop.
And that's important as we move forward in this podcast as well, because there is perspective from a woman-owned shop, and there's also a perspective from a man's own shop.
Absolutely.
And also a perspective of a family business.
Yep.
Where the husband and the wife are running the shop. And
self-taught business?
Self-taught business, entrepreneurship business, coming out of corporate America.
Yeah.
Kind of feel. So, Christy, you came out of corporate America?
I was in corporate America. I was an operations manager at a large bank. I was managing a region, compliance. But at the time that I started screen printing, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And
fair enough.
It really wasn't for me, the stay-at-home mom gig. I love my children, but I like to be doing things at all time and figuring things out, and I love selling.
Yeah.
So I thought I really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I kept trying to find something to fill that void that I was feeling internally. Yeah. So the way my shop came to be was I was at CrossFit one day with some of my friends, and everyone kept saying these really inappropriate things and saying, oh, that would make a funny t-shirt. That would make a funny t-shirt. I know you guys have probably heard that a million times in your life. Absolutely. when people know that you make shirts. So one day I went home and I was like, how hard can it be to make t-shirts, which is like my famous last words now, because it's actually really hard to make t-shirts.
It's not easy to make t-shirts.
It's not easy, but I was a little arrogant. So how hard can it be to make shirts? So I searched YouTube all night.
Yeah.
I stayed up all night, and I came to find, this speedball kit on Amazon. So I bought a speedball kit and got that. And started making shirts. I got some blanks from Target clearance rack And then I was so proud of what I was making, and I documented my whole experience on Instagram of making these t-shirts with these inappropriate sayings on Instagram, and people offered to buy these awful shirts
right.
on Instagram. So I was so proud.
Probably the worst screen printed shirts in the history.
I have pictures, and I cannot wait to show you because the lines are like blown out, and the ink is like caked on.
Wait,
and
did
really
you make
shiny.
your own screens?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
With that speedball kit, so
you
know, like the screen doesn't even have any tension or anything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even trying to sell the shirts, but people were like,
you were just having fun.
Can I get some of these shirts?
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is the jam.
Yeah, this is the way to go. Yeah.
So I went back to Target the next day with the money that I got from that and bought more shirts because people wanted to buy them, and I could not even find the same colors again or the sizes that people wanted. But I was just selling things that I was just like, oh, well, this is what you get because this is what they have at Target. And people were willing to give me money for that because they were just so excited that I was excited about what I was doing. And then as we grew and I just kept reinvesting that money, I bought initially. So I bought a one-on-one press.
Okay.
And some Plastisol ink, which was a game changer too. And I was curing
because Speedball is water-based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, completely different. And then I was curing those shirts in the oven of my house.
Yes. Been there, done that.
Not a smart move at all.
Yep.
I was scorching the shirts, but people were still buying
Absolutely.
the scorched shirts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
similar story.
Yeah. So I just kept, every time I would sell more shirts, I would buy a new piece of equipment. And then I bought a flash dryer, and I was drying them with the flash dryer or like a heat gun. You
right.
remember
Yes.
the heat
Yes.
guns?
Yep.
I don't even know what purpose a heat gun serves now because I literally don't use it.
We use it for embroidery but yeah, like vinyl. It works not so applying vinyl to cars and things like that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. So
I wouldn't recommend.
So that's how I grew, and then eventually I got my first shop, and I got we just started growing and growing and growing, and it's all been through Instagram, and it's just been this wonderful process. And now we're an auto shop.
Yeah.
And we're having a great time.
Yes. And there is a lot to talk about there. And I think that like that transition to auto is absolutely a topic that we'll talk about on this show. The female owned business side of things we'll absolutely talk about on this show. The journey along the way.
Yeah. Social selling too.
Social selling, all of that. We'll talk about Instagram. Fascinating. Fascinating that you're mostly driven by screen printing or by Instagram.
We are totally Instagram. I've never paid for advertising.
Yes. So in my case, I'm Jeremy from Rock Hill Screen Printing. I've been in business for about 8 years, and I have a corporate background. I was a mechanical engineer for 22 years. My wife was a nurse, and I say was because she's no longer a nurse. But we both had, I would say, comfortable jobs. And my son wanted to start a clothing line, and I kind of got complacent at work. It was a means to an end to me. I wasn't really happy doing it. But in growing, in helping my son do a clothing line, I was that engineer kind of figure it out kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? You're not making any money going to a screen printer to print this clothing brand. Famous last words, right? Because I eventually became a screen printer. But like he wasn't making the money that like I thought he could be making. So how hard could it be to print a t-shirt?
Yeah.
Same similar thing, right?
We should put that on a shirt.
How hard can it be to print a t-shirt? Absolutely. So that will be on sale on our website soon. And so so that whole process started, and let's figure out, well, me being an engineer, I'm like, we can make a press. Yeah. So we literally went to dumpster in neighborhoods that were being and we built a press out of scrap lumber from plans that we bought, or we didn't even buy it. We downloaded it from Pinterest on how to build a press. I've
probably seen those plans too.
So yeah, there's like this one set of plans that like you buy a Lazy Susan from Amazon and It was really, I made a 4-color 4-station press.
Are you serious?
I made a 4-color 4-station press out of scrap lumber from in December on Christmas break from my work. So,
Yeah.
And by February, I realized that I had no clue what I was doing because I made my own screens. Mm-hmm. And I dried the shirts into the oven, just like you.
Mm-hmm. Heat gun?
And heat gun. And I thought I was the coolest guy with Speedball ink because I could mix the colors.
Oh, you got fancy.
I got fancy and mixed colors that the customers wanted, like, because I ended up getting somebody to want us to make bags for them, for wine bags. Like, she was selling wine and she wanted us to put, like, being married in this location in this state, so I would put the state in a different color.
And how did you make your screens with the Speedball kit?
I didn't make my screens with the Speedball kit. I actually went and made lumber and mitered them and stapled them together and then stapled screen material on it. I bought screen material separate from Amazon. So I was stretching my own screens. And I actually built a screen stretcher from Amazon and learned how to do it myself and made glue, bought the glue, and did, like, I went deep dive into like what graphic screen fashion does now, right? Mm-hmm. But I was doing it with just pine boards that I found in the scrap in the lumber. Yeah, so in the dumpster. So, excuse me.
Nice burp.
Thank you. So similar backgrounds in that respect that we've come from
creative.
The Speedball kit to, and then at one point I was like, you know what, we could do better than this, and so I decided to sign up for a Screen Printing 101 course.
Is that where we met?
That's where we met first time. So at Screen Printing 101. And there was a lot of information, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Why not go buy a kit? So I went and bought a real press.
Did you buy one that day?
I didn't buy one that day, but I walked home with a bunch of free stuff, because you go to those things and you get free stuff. And it was worth the lunch, so I totally recommend going to a Screen Printing 101 class because the lunch was worth the whole visit.
Mm-hmm. I can't even remember what we had for lunch that day. I don't even know,
but I know they bought us lunch, so I thought it was pretty good. And so, I eventually bought the equipment. I drank the Kool-Aid and bought the equipment. And so let's just go ahead and print shirts on the side and see how it goes. And 6 months later, I quit my corporate job and started doing this full time, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming episode, but
that's us.
So welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. And Jeremy and I, our shops are less than 15 miles apart.
Absolutely.
We've been friends or acquaintances, and now we're friends. For 8 years now.
8 years, yep.
Our shops, we are very close to each other, 15 miles, but we do not compete. We believe in community over competition, and we also believe in abundance. And I think it served us pretty well.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's been plenty of customers that I've had customers that do business with you.
Yeah.
And they've come to us and we're like, "Hey, Christy, they just came to us. Are you guys okay?" And then you're like, "Yeah, that's actually somebody completely different." Yeah. So we've actually shared customers in that respect because people choose different. A couple of our customers, it just depends on where they're driving. Depends on where they're driving, depends on who they're from, and it's all good. I've actually partnered with a lot of shops where we've embroidered or screen printed for them, and then all of a sudden we're like, "Hey, we got the quote for this company, and the other company, or like Christy or let's say another shop got the embroidery or the screen printing, and then they came to us and we actually screen printed and embroidered the whole order, sent it back to them, and then the customer went and picked up from their shop thinking that they got it from them." So
that's happened before.
Right. So it's crazy, but like that's okay.
It's okay.
It's absolutely okay. We're helping each other out
to serve the customer, and as long as everybody's end goal is serving the customer and not taking business from another person, I think it comes from the right place.
Absolutely. And so what we want to do for you guys is, after 8 years of being in business and talking with each other about next steps in our phase of lives, in our businesses, we wanted to start a podcast that would help you guys out and that continue that kind of trend of generosity and helping shops grow and kind of change the trend of screen printing altogether.
Yeah.
So that we're one of a community of networking, of sharing ideas, of helping each other and growing together
absolutely.
to make the entire industry better. And so that is why we're doing this show. Christy has some exciting things that have happened to her in the last in the last year.
Yeah, this year has been amazing for both of us.
Actually. Absolutely. So Christy, can you tell us what happened to you this year?
Yeah. So
as I grab another beer.
Oh. So let's see. Probably last summer, I got this random email, and I don't even know who. It might have been like Screen Printing Magazine or something like that. Something you never read when it's in your inbox. No offense to Screen Print Magazine, but we have so many customer emails that I don't read a lot of other emails. But this one, on that particular day, I opened and I read the whole thing, and at the bottom it said, Gildan Board of Decorators now accepting applications. And I just filled out this application. Well, less than a month later, I get this call and request for interview. And I was chosen as one of 10 screen printers this year to serve on Gildan's Board of Decorators.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, no, I saw that and I was like, on Instagram, and I'm like, she's actually at Gildan. Like, she's in Honduras.
Yeah, I went to Honduras.
Right? So tell us tell us about the Gildan Board of Decorators. Everybody probably in the industry uses Gildan.
Correct, yes.
So,
or you should be.
You should be. So tell us about that.
So Gildan is doing this great initiative. It's been a couple years in the works. They did have a little slowdown because of COVID.
Yeah.
But so I think I'm the third cohort for them, maybe second, maybe third. Third cohort of 10 screen printers that they choose, and they get us all together, and they are trying to bridge the gap between the manufacturer of the shirts to the end user of the shirt and understand us, understand our needs, understand what we want, and then also teach us about the manufacturing process of shirts so we're able to share that knowledge with other screen printers and with our end user customers. It's been amazing. So in October, we went to the yarn making facilities in North Carolina. We saw like from where they take the raw cotton in North Carolina that's grown here.
I was going to say they grow it in North Carolina.
Yarn. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All the cotton that they use for Gildan is grown in North Carolina and turned into yarn, and then they take the spools of yarn and they ship that to Honduras and other countries, and then they take that yarn and then they make the fabric and they dye it and they cut it into garments and then they sew the garments.
Right. And that's how I found it, is because you were sewing something or something, like the Instagram post of you sewing. Yeah. You
guys, I hope nobody got that garment. Because I am not a sewer, I'm a screen printer.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
It was so fun and enlightening, and thanks to Gildan, because what they are doing with this Board of Decorators program is just life-changing. Right,
so I saw where like you guys were giving advice, like, hey, this pocket's doing this, or the seam is doing this.
Yeah, and Gildan, as big as they are, they're listening. They're listening to us screen printers, giving them the feedback on how the garments actually print in our shops and like what we need to see changed. And you know, one of the pockets on one of the shirts that we told them, like, hey, it just doesn't fit on our standard palettes that we use. Like, what's happening and why doesn't that particular pocket on this particular shirt that you guys carry do that? And the guy went and he was like, oh, we never thought about that before. This is why that happens, and that would be an easy change for us. We can change that for you guys. And 3 people got together and they were like, okay, next round of shirts,
Right.
this will be changed.
And that might end up like taking a while because there's so many shirts in the process, right?
Yeah, it might take a year, but the
Right.
fact that they're willing and open to listen to the feedback that we're giving
That's
them
amazing. Yeah.
was unreal to me.
No, and that's key because like how many of you guys wanted to have a voice to Gildan to say just change this is so crazy or to any shirt manufacturer.
Any shirt manufacturer.
Any shirt manufacturer, yeah, absolutely. So hats off to Gildan for doing that,
Yeah,
for sure.
and then the other thing that was really interesting to me is I had never heard about all the sustainability practices that Gildan was putting in place or how they treat their employees. Both of those things are unreal.
Right.
And we could do a whole episode on that, but
Yeah.
they have a biomass and they have lagoons where they filter the water and they're actually converting the trash that they're using at these manufacturing plants into energy to run all their manufacturing plants, so they're not further polluting the environment. It's unreal, guys.
Yeah, and that's happening in Honduras.
Yes, I saw it
Which
with
is
my own eyes.
which is crazy because that you would consider not any offense to Honduras, but you would consider Honduras a third world country.
Yes.
And so that they're taking that technology, and I assume that they're using employees from there. So so that I've even heard stories about how they're like that is the elite job to have in Honduras.
Yes,
like, yes, to work
it was
that.
great. And even in the sewing facilities, everyone was so happy. All the women had their nails done. They have medical care there. They have free lunches.
Yes.
It's just unreal.
Absolutely. So where else have you traveled? So all right, so it's actually the BOD or the Board of Decorators by Gildan. And so what else are you guys doing?
Well, in a couple of months, we're going to Barbados.
That sucks. I want to go to Barbados. How can I join?
Yes. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but one of the corporate headquarters for Gildan is in Barbados. So I'm really looking forward to this
Yeah.
trip. And some of the prior cohorts told us about what happens on this particular trip, and they said we're going to have a good time. So
Cool.
stay
cool.
tuned.
So you guys ate well, and so I've heard stories like, okay, so you've obviously gone to some shows.
Yes.
And you've gone to Honduras, and where else have you gone?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Which,
and then,
just for me, I live in
and you were out at ISS Long Beach?
Yes.
And so how was that trip for you guys? Did you have fun there?
I had a great time. Actually, that was my first conference that I've ever been to. Even being in screen printing 8 years, just January is a hard time for our shop because we're usually a little bit slow. So I hate spending money to go to ISS. But now I see the value in going. The fact that Gildan was able to take us this year, and then I was able to take one of my employees to ISS, which was amazing. We toured some of our cohort shops, Money Merch, Blake, he owns that shop, which seeing someone else's shop that you know.
Huge value, right.
There were so many things that they do that we don't do. I was able to take that back to my shop, which was awesome. But just being with the board of decorators and other people in the screen printing industry over and over again and continuing to learn from them, it's priceless.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How did you like ISS?
I went there too. Absolutely loved it. I went there with Anatol. So some of the things that are going on with me is I started to invest in equipment, in auto years ago. And from an engineering perspective, I wanted to go to something that I thought was an upgrade.
Yeah.
And for me, coming from that background of pneumatic versus servo, I always made machines in two different ways when I designed them. I designed them in pneumatic, which was our base model, and then I designed them in servo, which was our premium model.
And at your open house, that was the first time that I'd heard the term servo. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. So servo drives are basically we're using all electrical to make the machine do the exact same thing instead of air, which relies on a compressor and a chiller and all these different things. Right, exactly. And so what happens when the air fails? Right?
You go home.
Everybody goes home, right? Well, when the electrical fails, everybody goes home because, right?
Yeah.
But if air fails, you can still do other parts of business, right? So how rarely does electrical fail? How often does air fail? Like, you know, you have leaks, you have things that happen. So air always, it's an engineering thing that cylinders, things that do pneumatic cylinders and things like that, they over time wear and tear.
Yeah.
And eventually fail. So you're constantly doing maintenance on those types of machines. Whereas servo-driven machines are controlled by magnets.
Made me start sweating.
Yeah, controlled by magnets. So magnets are in the electrical field can be controlled to infinite control. I guess they would have infinite control based on computers to make the motor do exactly what it needs, stop on a dime, turn back, do all the different functionality, but do that through programming and through electrical and magnets so that you can basically accomplish the same thing, sometimes faster, more accurately, all of that.
Quieter than my shop.
Absolutely quieter, for sure. And so those types of things is what I was driven to, and so I went with Anatol. I feel like that from an engineering perspective, that was the wise thing to do. Now, that wasn't the industry standard, and still is not the industry standard. So I chose to do that. Well, Anatol started doing open houses, and they wanted to kind of like that. It attracted me that they wanted to come into the small shops and bring kind of like that show atmosphere into a smaller realm so that we could share what exactly we're doing and how it's helping us to do business better instead of just doing this big, large sales pitch.
Yeah.
So
I didn't feel like it was a sales pitch at all.
No. And so I happened to go to the first open house, met some great people there, and then basically saw how it was done. And then that conversation kept on going forward where eventually they were like, we would love to do an open house at your place, and we already feature you guys on Instagram. So the Instagram thing, what we talked about earlier, that's a huge thing. Social media posts are huge. So you never know who's going to contact you to be like, hey, right? So what happened is from basically last August until this February, Anatol jumped on board and marketed my shop like never before.
Yeah.
Right? And in that, we were able to gain a ton of notoriety. In and through the industry, met a lot of people, and we ended up at ISS Long Beach to train on some equipment that was going to be at our shop for that show. Anatol did some amazing things and made a custom press for us. There was a lot of things involved in that, so I highly recommend for y'all to reach out to who you're using and want to participate in the things that they're doing, because you never know what may come of it, right?
Absolutely.
I happened to catch lightning in a bottle with Anatol, and it's turned into some amazing opportunities for me. At one point, I texted you and was like, do me a favor, type in Anatol.com.
No, hold on a second. I asked him a question, and he goes, oh, just type in Anatol.com. But he just wanted me to see his face on this website.
Right. So literally what happened is she asked me a question about Anatol's address or something, and I was like, just do me a favor and type in Anatol.com. And my face and literally my entire shop was the homepage for Anatol for about a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the coolest thing in the world that anybody globally would go to Anatol.com and see my face on the whole thing. So
I literally just
funny.
thought he was being a jerk. Like, Chrissy, look it up for
Chrissy,
yourself.
just look it up for yourself. And literally, when she opened it up, I'm like, this is so insane how my life has turned around. So, yes, it's been awesome. Truly humbled by all of it. And I feel like we're the same in this, that we don't feel like, like we're happy to share our information. We don't feel like we necessarily deserve any of the attention that we're getting. But absolutely, let's use the kind of the platform that we've been given to continue on. And so
I think what it's taught me is before I was picked up by the board of decorators, I didn't think that I was confident in what I was selling to my customers, but screen printers have the tendency to say, oh, how many autos do you have? How many employees do you have? And for someone like me who has one auto and just a couple of employees, but I like it that way, we're just not a big shop.
Right.
But we're highly profitable for the size shop that we are, and that's something to be proud of. Also, we have so much to give, and we're passionate about what we do and the industry.
Yeah.
And for a big corporation to really recognize that I'm so passionate about screen printing, even though I don't have the biggest shop in the world, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so both of our circumstances is a company invested in us as small little shops.
Yeah.
And we just so happen to be close to each other.
Yeah.
Two separate situations coming together, and what better way to kind of share our experience and share what you guys can do moving forward with your companies than to do a podcast and talk about it.
So one piece of advice that I will give for anyone looking to do something like we will do is just treat the companies like you treat your own customers.
Yeah.
What value can you give to somebody else? Stop looking for what you can get from the situation and say, how can I give them value and make them so thankful that they chose me or highlighted me or
absolutely
anything.
So this is the craziest thing. It was like, I just was so transparent with even AS Color, which was a shirt provider for us for the open house. It was like, these guys we're in ISS and they're like, hey, come to dinner. Let's talk about this us coming to your shop. And like, these are general managers and people from New Zealand in Los Angeles.
Can we go see them?
And yes. And yeah, I would love to go see them if you're listening, Glenn. And then, so I meet the corporate people and they're just like, hey, come have a beer with us. We'll buy you dinner. Let's talk. And they treated me like Gildan treats you, right? Like this, like, you're special. And they're like, tell us about your story. And I just basically was like, listen, I feel like we need to have this kind of brewer's mentality where we're sharing and collaborating and growing. And they're like, it is absolutely needed in the industry and no one's doing it.
Yeah.
And no one's promoting it like you're actually doing it. So we are so excited to be a part of your shop. And I'm like, I'm nobody.
Yeah, but you are.
But I'm somebody. And that's where you just got to kind of overcome that kind of feeling that you're one day going to get to be a great shop and just be like, you know what? We are a great shop for what we're doing in our niche. And so, people recognize that. I have a major shirt manufacturer recognizing that. And they were more than willing to help us out, and we're super grateful. And I'm sure you're super grateful of Gildan.
Yeah.
I'm super grateful of Anatol, but I'm not an 100% Anatol shop, and it's okay. And they're okay with that too. So, and I've met other great shops like Stampinator. Jeff from Stampinator is an actual screen printer.
He's a great guy.
He's a screen printer that just so happened to innovate the industry with a new machine that has literally changed the way prints come off a press. It doesn't matter what press you own, right? Workhorse, Anatol, M&R, Rock. It doesn't matter. He's changing the industry, and he's willing to. He came to our shop and gave away not one but 2 Stampinators to people in my shop, and it blew everybody's mind. That's like $12,000 worth of product.
Yeah.
He gave away.
And we could do a whole episode on Stampinator.
And we will do a whole episode on Stampinator, but like, people came from all over the place to participate.
Yeah.
Nikki from Print Girl Mafia came from Winston-Salem.
I've had people since the open house that you hosted like contact me about like what I think about this equipment and how they should grow their shop and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the networking possibilities in this industry are just so awesome.
And here's the cool thing is, like, I knew that you were going to be at our open house and you're representing Gildan Board of Decorators, right? And I'm having AS Color give us shirts to support the shop.
Yeah.
And I went to them and was like, listen, the board of decorators by Gildan are going to be there. Are you okay with that? And they're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I love the mentality of where the industry is going, where there is like this thing like, yeah, that's a niche. You're a niche. Everybody uses Gildan. It's okay.
Yeah.
We would love for people to use our stuff too. And they were completely okay with that. So that's where it needs to be. And I was super excited to be a part of that and kind of let people see that.
Yeah. So it has definitely been a crazy year for us. Like, we're trying to get out of the shop a little bit. But where are we taking this podcast?
We're going to take it everywhere. No. So we want to, moving forward, we want to make this podcast, again, about this comfortable talk over a beer about what we do in our daily lives as business owners, and give different perspectives and invite guests in to give different perspectives on, and not to sell them, but more to educate you guys so that the entire industry can be better for it.
Yeah.
Right?
So one of my passions that I talk about a lot on my Instagram page is that I'm a lifelong learner. I consider myself that, and I pride myself on being a lifelong learner. I love just diving into Google, diving into YouTube, whatever I can get my hands on, and just learning more about anything that I'm passionate about. And that's what I want to bring with this podcast and our website. I want to bring learning tools to help further the screen printing industry. I know our podcast is niche down to beginning and intermediate screen printers. But I want to have the templates for you guys that all the things that I struggled with growing in the screen printing industry, whether it's a shirt mock-up template or pricing guides or any of that kind of stuff. Like, how do you get your artwork right? How do you get your customers to send you your artwork right? What kind of tools and checklists do we need to be sending our customers? Or even sales guides. You know, like,
absolutely.
We all struggle with different things, and we all should be here to help each other and push each other forward. Yeah,
and I'm more on the shop side of things, the production side of things, and I want to learn about the actual business side of things more, so that we can become better at doing business. But I'm also interested in how to bring my background in engineering and try to evolve the shop into something that's franchisable, even though I may not franchise it. But that's not a term that you hear much in screen printing, is franchised screen printing shops, right? But there is a way to go about making your shop franchisable in a way of how you do your processes and SOPs and things like that. And so, like, yes, I want to have the ultimate shop. I want to have the place that people like are going, man, that's goals.
Yeah.
That's goals. And I felt like I heard a lot of that at the open house. And not to brag, that's hard work. Putting in that hard work to be that. And but I don't want to just do that and go, yo, I made it. You suck. I'm better than you. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it to put down other manufacturers. I don't want to do that to pump up myself, or I don't want to do any of that. What I want to do is to put that back into y'all's people, the viewers' courts, and go, listen, I think that you can do that too, and I want to help you.
Yeah.
And so I want to help you achieve what I achieved, learn from my mistakes, and be better for it.
Or our guest mistakes.
Our guest mistakes, and along the way, we'll throw in some things that, some shop hacks and things that we've learned along the way too.
Yeah, absolutely.
To grow.
I love the business side of screen printing. I've always kind of migrated towards that, not so much printing shirts. I do like to print shirts, but I love the profitability. I love the marketing. I love the social aspect of it. Like, that's what feeds me and fires me up.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm bringing to the table.
Yeah, and I'm more on the networking side and giving and gaining from those gives. And so, absolutely. As we listen to the car rev in the distance, I'm all about the the networking and the giving and the gaining side of things. And so I want to share my experiences on how we grew the business from nothing to something, word of mouth, never hiring a salesperson. And so that side of things. So yeah, so
Awesome.
there's a lot of different things that we've, being only a few miles away from each other, have done separately, and now we're coming together to share that knowledge with you. So
For sure.
we're excited to share that with you, and we hope you are excited too.
Yeah, and we're very thankful that you're here. Our podcast will be available on Apple,
Yeah.
Spotify,
Google Play and YouTube and anywhere where you can, subscribe to your podcast. We ask that you would please like, click, and subscribe. At this time, I wanted to kind of transition and thank our sponsors. And so
How awesome is it that
I
we
know
have
the fact that we
sponsors?
actually have sponsors. Yeah. And this is our
Just
first.
grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. So our first sponsor, the first sponsor we've gotten is PMI Tape.
They will always be special to me.
They will
and
always be special.
You guys are going to hear this over and over again. They will always be special to me since they're our first sponsor.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what is Anatol, or not Anatol? Sorry, Anatol's not a sponsor yet. What is PMI doing?
PMI is sponsoring our What's on Press Wednesday. What's on Press Wednesday is like my little play on What's on Tap. When you walk into a brewery, you always see the chalkboard that says What's on Tap. So What's on Press Wednesday is our Instagram contest where we want to see what you're printing during the week.
Yeah.
Tag
so
us. Tag
tag
PMI.
do the tag, but then also tag PMI,
So they can share it too.
right? And so that we know that you're saying, hey, this is what's on press, and that PMI can share it.
And honestly, it doesn't even have to be what you're printing that day.
It doesn't. Just go ahead and like it, and actually share
something
something cool. And what do the viewers get when we choose them?
They get my favorite thing ever.
What's that?
A beer on us.
They get a beer on us. So absolutely, a beer on PMI, beer on us, however you want to say it. How cool is it that PMI is like willing to sponsor this show, but not only do that, but also buy a beer for you guys for participating in the show. So
Pretty freaking cool.
that's pretty freaking cool. So not too many podcasts can say that as we take another drink of beer.
Cheers.
The second sponsor that we have,
Who are you going to name?
who am I going to name? For what?
Our second sponsor.
Our second sponsor. I don't know. Like, what am I
He's
talking
a couple
about?
beers.
Yeah, we're a couple beers in. So our second sponsor is Blue Ridge Screen Products.
Oh my gosh, Blue Ridge Screen Products.
So what is Blue Ridge Screen
Well,
Products?
Aaron, who
Yes.
owns...
Yeah, he owns.
Does his wife own it with him?
It's a husband and wife
Laura?
deal. Yes, yeah.
So Aaron, I just recently got to know Aaron at your open house.
Yes.
And I feel like he's infiltrated my life since then because he's such a wealth of knowledge.
He is. Yeah, he's the guy you go to for all the knowledge of. Well, and it's really why, because he's had 25 years of experience in the industry,
Yeah.
both in digital and in textile. He's been on all the different podcasts sharing his knowledge. I ran into him at the open house sharing about darkroom, and he was working for an ink manufacturer at the time, and he was sharing, instead of about ink, he was sharing about a darkroom. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, that's cool that somebody would care so much about the steps of screen printing that he wouldn't even consider selling his own product.
Yeah, but that's Aaron.
That's Aaron. He just wants you guys to be running your shop perfectly. And so Aaron's created Blue Ridge Screen Products to not only sell you the best products, but also give you the education behind it to make sure your shop is running great. So
one of my favorite things about Aaron is when he came to your open house, he kept like touting this, find a partner, a screen printing distributor partner to give you the best information.
Right.
Don't just pick someone that will sell you a product. Find a partner that will sell you something or give you information. And I was like, oh, this guy, he's just talking about this and he wants everybody to feel like buddy. But since I've got to know Aaron,
that's him.
that is him.
Yeah.
He is a partner. He has literally not tried to sell me one darn thing.
No.
But he has helped me immensely.
Absolutely.
And now
yeah.
I want to buy from him. So
Absolutely.
if you need any help with anything, ink, emulsion, the guy knows thicknesses of emulsion. Like,
right. Yeah. He's like, you need to buy an EOM calculator.
Like,
right.
yeah.
Exactly. So yes, it definitely check out Blue Ridge Screen Products. They have the best products in the industry and equipment. He does a lot of stuff. So check out Blue Ridge. And the final sponsor for the podcast is Monarch Inc.
I'm so excited about Monarch.
Monarch Inc. And what are they doing, Christy?
They are doing our sponsor of Last Call. So Last Call is going to be at the end of all of our podcasts, where we ask you to subscribe, like, comment, rate,
and then leave
whatever.
a question. That would be awesome if you guys left a question. All of those things will qualify you, and we will just go ahead and and we'll go ahead and pull a name, and we will pick who's going to win a free quart of ink. You guys. It's just it's great, and that stemmed from the open house and them giving away ink at the open house, and it was so great to see. Like, right there was crazy.
So it's the most hilarious thing, because we were giving away some awesome stuff at your open house, but the thing that made grown men squeal were
free ink.
Free ink.
Yeah.
Free gallons
like, that's
of
crazy.
Monarch ink.
Yeah.
And everybody was so excited to get it. So I'm excited to give away the ink. We always need ink. And ink is one of those, like, things that you buy that isn't very, like, glory feel.
Right.
You know, if you buy equipment, you're like, oh, yeah, I bought equipment today. But if you have to buy a gallon of ink, you're like, eh.
Well, here's what I like about Monarch is that, like, Monarch is not trying to sell you all the different variations of ink that they have every year that they come out with, that they say, well, this is the best ink. Mm-hmm. Well, now this is the best ink. Well, we've made it even better. So, like, when is the best ink? What is the best ink? Monarch has spent years and years and years developing what, you know.
Someone's going to the hospital.
Somebody's going to the hospital. You hear that? So they've spent years and years and years developing this ink and haven't released it until recently to make sure that they got it right. So they did the nerdy chemistry and did all the different things that all the other shops or all the other providers aren't doing. And so made a product that is elite in my consideration.
Damn good ink.
And they did it, and there's not very many variations. There's like a cotton version and a hybrid version, basically, for low cure. And that's it. And a mixing system that is spot on. So, yeah.
Thank you, Monarch Ink.
Thank you, Monarch Ink. And definitely check them out. And so, yeah, absolutely.
That's it for sponsors for the time being. But we are so thankful to be one episode in and have 3 sponsors.
Absolutely. And this is a shorter episode because we do not have a guest today.
Yeah.
But we wanted to kind of get on here and kind of describe to you what's going on with the podcast. And so we are super excited. I feel like you excited?
I am stoked.
Yeah, I'm so stoked too. And we are super grateful and so super humble for being at this level right now, thanks to people that have partnered with us already. Thanks to PMI, thanks to Monarch, thanks to Blue Ridge Screen Products, thanks to the Board of Decorators by Gildan for helping us out.
And that's
all for helping us out. And AS Color and all the people that we promoted today or we talked about today. We are super humble and super grateful for you guys to be a part of the show and help us out. And we look forward to those people that want to continue to participate with this program. And we look forward to helping you guys out.
So, thank you for watching Last Call for Plastisol. Until next time.
Cheers.